Hello and welcome to my channel, Knitting Books, etc. My name is Cristina and I come to you from Lisbon, Portugal. So today is the 8th of March of 2022 and I am here to do a tag, something I haven't done for a while. And this tag is, let me open my notes here, this tag is the birth year book tag and it was created by Criminoli. And I was kindly tagged by Mark at Book Times with Elvis. So the tag is questions. Have you read any books published in the year you were born? So I checked Goodreads because they have year by year some top published books, and I recognized 4 books. One is The Planet of the Apes, which I read when I was 15, I think. I hardly remember anything. I do, especially the ending. I remember, but not much. Perhaps I should reread it. Then I have one book, 5 Are Together Again, the famous 5, Enid Blyton. I normally say that she is the author whose books I read the most because she published more than 750 books. And when I was young, I used to read a lot. There is even a famous day where I read 4 books of hers in one day. So, and then I read Asterix. Here in English, it's Asterix and the Banquet. I don't have the books now with me, so I don't know the name in French, but I know that I read them in the original. And also, and these I do have because I have them all, here they say the Castafiore Emerald, but in French, and this is the only book I have here, is Les Bijoux de la Castafiore. Okay, so I have all the books of this collection, and my son was given another book which is a little bit different, black and white, which is As Tintin au Pays des Soviets. I think that's the name. So that's it. If so, what's your favorite and why? So they are all my favorites except for The Planet of the Apes because I don't remember anything about it. So, do you have any other favorites? Oh, I forgot to answer this one. Any other favorites? But no, because at least from that list of books, I was born in 1963. If you want to know more about this year, there's a poem by Frederick Larkin, which is called Annus Mirabilis, and you can read about it. But the only thing I remember is that it was the year where of the end of Lady Chatterley's ban and of the Beatles' first LP. I still remember that from the poem. If you haven't read any birth year books, which one do you pledge to read in the next 6 months and why have you chosen it? So, I read, as I said, those 4 books from that list, but there's a book in that list that I want to read. It's Inside Mr. Enderby by Anthony Burgess. It's an author I always liked, everything I read about it. So he's also an author who is fascinated with language, which is something that also fascinates me. So I like him a lot, and I like his sense of humor. So, have you read any books published in a year you turned 18? So I again look at the list from Goodreads, and there are some titles I recognize. One is, I think it's a romance novel. When I say I think, it's because that's what I associate this author with. Sorry, Jude Devereux, and the title is The Velvet Promise. It's from a tetralogy, so 4 books. I might have read the 4 books. I really don't remember much about it. So, but I know they are I remember that they were historical romance. So I think from the Middle Ages or perhaps modern times, the 1500s. I don't remember. But then the other one, it's The Curse of the Pharaohs, and that's the number 2 in the Amelia Peabody series by Elizabeth Peters. Elizabeth Peters was is not her true name. I don't remember her name now. Martha Beck. I don't remember, but she was an Egyptologist, and so these are cozy mysteries set in the 19th century, and the main character is Amelia Peabody, and she has lots of adventures with some of her family and friends, and the great majority of her adventures are in Egypt because her husband is an archaeologist. So, and they are very fun. I read them all. They go, actually, I think that the time, I don't remember, but it's more than 20 years from the first to the last one. And I do like them a lot. There's here another one. Oh, I could have brought another book that I forgot. Because I also read when I was doing my Erasmus year in London. I had one of the classes I attended was about a modern novel in England, and we read a book that I remember that I found it at the time. I remember the impression I had at the time. I don't remember the contents of the book. But I thought it was a kind of a pornographic novel. And it was The White Hotel by an author called D.M. Thomas. And I also have from that year, so the year I turned 18, which is 1981, The Atlas of Middle-earth, which is a book I love about the Middle-earth and the world of Tolkien from the First Age until the Fourth Age. So, and I like to read the books, The Lord of the Rings, Silmarillion, etc., using all the maps and the information I have in that atlas. So my favorite here, well, there's the Atlas, and then The Curse of the Pharaohs by Elizabeth Peters. Then they say, of the last 10 books you read, how many were published before you were born? And I have to check. I think it were 5 or 6, but I can. I don't know. I thought that I could. Let me see if I can check here very quickly. Well, one I just finished yesterday finally because I was stuck in the last act, and it was King John by Shakespeare. Then, so that was long before I was born. I'm old, but not that old. Then the other one, the one before that was the Pickwick Papers, because I decided to read every quarter one of Charles Dickens' works, and I am doing it in chronological order. So I started with the first book, the Pickwick Papers, which I liked a lot. Then it's another project of mine, which is reading the Palliser novels, the Palliser series by Anthony Trollope. I had read the Baskershire Chronicles, or the Chronicles of Baskershire, last year, and this year I'm reading the 6 Palliser novels, one per 2 months. I read the first one, Can You Forgive Her? I loved it. And now I am in the middle of Phineas Finn, which is the second novel. Then 1, 2, 3, so 3. Then I read My Man Jeeves, again, P.G. Wodehouse, from the beginning, either the end of 19th century or beginning of the 20th century. I don't know the date of the book. Then I think I read, yes, in Christmas time, I read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, and I read The Christmas Hirelings by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. So those were the books I read that were in this last. From the last 10 books, I read those, and then I read 2 or 3 more recent ones. Now I lost my list. Okay. So what were they? I already said. Did you prefer them to the newer books? Well, there was one of the newer books I liked a lot, which was The Last Argument of Kings by Joe Abercrombie. It's from the trilogy First Law. And I really, really liked that series. It's a fantasy book, especially the second and third volume. I loved it. I think I gave them 5 stars. I might have given 4 stars to the first one, but they are all good, and I did really like that series. And then the other, normally I tend to prefer books, older books, classics. Another question: what's your favorite movie from your birth year and why? So, I recognize some titles, so I for sure must have watched those, but the only one that I recognize the most, and it's one of my favorite directors, so I really like his work, which is Alfred Hitchcock, and the film is The Birds by Alfred Hitchcock. So I didn't know it was from 1963, now I know. What's your favorite movie from the year you turned 18 and why? Again, when I was younger, I used to watch lots and lots of films, many, many, many films. I used to go to filming fairs and things like that. I remember I attended 2 events in 2 years, which were American film of the 40s and American film of the 50s, and we had every weekday 2 films, and on the weekends 4 films, and this lasted a long time. So I remember that I watched so many films at the time, and in the cinema too. I used to go a lot to the cinema. Then more recently, I haven't. First of all, because cinema tickets are very expensive. Second, and then when my son was young, it's because it was more difficult for me to go, and then tickets became too expensive. So, and now lockdown, and now let's see if I can go back to the cinema. But so I recognized again some titles from the year 1981, but the one I remember best, and perhaps I watched more than once, so I'm going to say it's my favorite, is Chariots of Fire, whose music I still know, as you know, when they run in ralenti, so it's in slow motion. But they are the only one, so this is the only one I remember. And now tag at least one person for each decade you've been alive. So I'm 58, if you can count, and so I'm going to tag 6 people. So I tag, and I put them here in alphabetic order. So Aaron Facer, Gina Stanyer, Jordan Parsons, Lisa in Bookland. This is a channel I recently discovered because Ross made a book mentioning new booktubers, and so I discovered Lisa, and I like her videos very much. Ross, Scarlet Ending About the Book, so Ross too, and finally Tom LA Books. So you're tagged. I hope you do this tag because I want to know um, books from the year you were born, especially books. Films too, but especially books. So I'll see you next.